These are the last two shapes that we're going to talk about here. So the circle and the semicircle. Now, long time ago, we probably did the area of a circle. All we really need to know for the area of a circle is the radius. But I want you to remember, though, that if we're given the diameter instead, if we're given the diameter, then the diameter is just the radius times 2. So if you have the diameter given, then all you need to do is divide that by 2, and that's going to give you the radius. Remember that the diameter is all the way across, but the radius is only from the center to the edge of the circle, to the circumference of the circle. So now that we know that, let's talk about circumference of a circle. Now the circumference is just like the perimeter, except since this circle has no true sides, we call it a circumference instead. And the circumference of that circle is 2 times pi times your radius. Or you could also use, if you have the diameter instead, you could also do diameter times pi. Because remember, 2 times the radius is the diameter. So if I have 2 times r, then that's also the diameter. So either one of these two will give you the circumference. But for area, though, you need the radius. You can't find the area with the diameter. You need the radius. So the formula for area of a circle is pi times radius squared. So we need the radius. We need to square it and then multiply that times pi. Now, semicircle. The word semi in some language means half. And we already know what a circle is. So semicircle is half of a circle. So to find the area of a semicircle is the exact same thing as area of a circle, except it's pi r squared divided by 2. Since we're cutting it in half, we divide it by 2. Now, I'm going to call the distance around the semicircle the perimeter here. Technically, this half part here is still a circumference, but adding this line, though, makes me want to call it the perimeter. So the perimeter of a semicircle. Now we know we need to start by finding the circumference and dividing that by half. So we're going to start with 2 pi r divided by 2. So 2 pi r divided by 2. But the 2's cancel out here. So really, I'm just left with pi r. So I have pi times r. But I also need to add in this line. But conveniently, I know what this line is, because this is the diameter. So pi r plus d. Let's take a look at an example. Find the circumference and area of a circle with a diameter of 13 centimeters. So here I'm given the diameter of 13 centimeters. But remember, it's more convenient for me to use the radius since I'm going to need the radius for area. So I go to my calculator and I'm going to divide 13 by 2. So my radius here is 6.5 centimeters. That's going to be from half the circle to the end of the circle. So I'm going to use my formula for circumference, 2 times pi times r, but r is 6.5. So 2 times pi times 6.5. Now, in the interest of keeping this in exact form, I'm just going to multiply the numbers that I have. 2 times 6.5. Because when I do that, 2 times 6.5, we know that's 13. So I get 13 times pi. Now, I'm leaving it like this just to keep it in exact form. But I think on our assignments and on our worksheets, we're going to need to find out what pi times 13 is. So most of your calculators should have that function. This one unfortunately doesn't, but the one on my phone does. So give me a second. And I have 13, or you can always approximate it to 3.14 if you want. But 13 times 3.14 times pi is approximately 40.82. Now let's find the area. Now remember that the area is pi r squared. So I'm going to take my radius again, and I have pi times 6.5 squared. Now, when we're using this formula, we want to be very, very careful here. This square right here only works for the 6.5. You are not squaring pi. That 2 is next to the 6.5 for a reason. We're only squaring the 6.5. We're not squaring the pi at all. So the pi is going to stay exactly the same. But the 6.5, we're going to square that. Remember, squaring is just the same as multiplying it with itself. So I have 6.5 times 6.5, 42.25. So I get 42.25 times pi. Again, this is my answer in exact form, but if I want the approximated decimal, which is what you'll need for Google Forms, then I'll have 42.25 times pi times 3.14, which turns out to be approximately 132.67. We'll round it to 67. And this is in centimeters, so my area is in centimeters squared. My circumference is just in centimeters. So there's a circle. Let's take a look at a semicircle. Find the perimeter and area of a semicircle with a diameter of 8 inches. So if I know the diameter of this semicircle is 8, then I know the radius, 8 divided by 2, must be 4. Now to find the perimeter, remember, we're going to need half of the circumference. I want to start with 2 pi r, but I know that I need to divide that by 2. Now 2 pi r is 4, so I'm going to substitute that in. Now 2 times 4 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So here I end up getting 4 pi. Now that's for the circumference, but remember, I still need to add in this line right here, the diameter. And since I know the diameter is 8 inches, then I have 4 pi plus 8. Now, in exact form, this would be your answer. Because just like how you can't add a number with an x, a constant with an x, you leave those separate. Same thing happens with a pi. You can't add a pi with a constant, so you have to leave them separate. But since Google's going to want your approximated decimal answers, let's find out what this is. 4 times 3.14 gives me that, but then I add in the 8 for my diameter, get 20.56. So my perimeter for the semicircle is 20.56. My units were inches, so 20.56 inches is my perimeter. Now for the area, it's simpler because all I need is pi r squared and that divided by 2. So r is 4, our radius is 4, so we get 4 squared, pi 4 squared, divided by 2. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16, so I end up with 16 pi divided by 2. Now in this, since I have a 16 and I have 2, I can just divide those numbers. Doesn't matter that the pi is there, I can leave the pi alone. But I can divide the numbers out, 16 divided by 2, to get 8 pi. Now again, this is my exact answer, but to find the decimal approximation, 8 times 3.14, which is 25.12. So approximately 25.12 is my area. My units were inches. So for area, it's inches squared. All right, so let's wrap this up here. In our Google Classroom, you have this assignment already uploaded. So this is 6 problems here, finding the area of each shape. You may have to use the Pythagorean theorem, so go back to those examples if you didn't understand that part. Remember that we are going to have online tutoring at some point. It should be on the Google Drive already. If not, then you can let us know, either me or Miss Caddy. You must show all of your work. So not just putting in the answers is not enough for full credit. You want full credit, you must show all of your work. Do it on a separate sheet of paper, take a picture of it, and submit it along with the Google form on our Google Classroom. That's how you get full credit for this assignment. Remember, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to email me, text me on Remind, or show up to the online tutoring sessions that me and Miss Caddy are hosting. All right. I hope you guys understood this. If you have questions, again, let me know. And I hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much.